Hello everyone, welcome back to another Magic the Gathering Commander review. This is the last card we're reviewing for the Invasion set of Magic the Gathering, and then we will be doing the set review, which thankfully hopefully every video I've kind of touched on this. I am now implementing their rank on the tier chart in each individual video, so that way when I finally do the tier list set review, I don't have to explain every individual card in that video, or else it would be extremely long. Rather, I can just showcase the visual representation of each individual video. How I've always imagined doing these set reviews and these commander reviews, but just in a more better way, because now you guys can see each individual, see their rank, and then see it compared to every other commander in the review. I'll explain more at the end. Verdeloth the Ancient is a legendary tree folk, and that's who we're talking about today. It is a 4/7 that costs 4 generic mana and 2 green mana. It has a kicker cost of X. Now, kicker is a very fun mechanic. I enjoy the kicker mechanic a lot. I think there's some cool commanders that you could build around with kicker. And essentially what kicker is, just like in the rules text here, you may pay an additional X mana as you cast a spell. So this is on top of playing the spell. I think the biggest thing to note with kicker is when you are casting a spell, let's say you have a way to cast Verdeloth for free, you can still pay X as part of the additional kicker cost, which is very cool. It's almost the same as a tax effect from your opponents, where they're forcing you to pay 1 more mana to play Verdeloth, but in this case you're wanting to pay the additional cost because you get benefits or bonuses from it. So overall, Sappling creatures and other tree folk creatures get +1/+1. However, when Verdeloth the Ancient enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create X 1/1 green Sappling creature tokens. So if X equals 2, you make 2 Sappling creature tokens. If X equals 5, you can create 5 creature tokens. Bear in mind that if you are casting Verdeloth for the full 6 mana and paying the kicker cost, that's going to be 7 mana plus. So it is a lot of mana to do that. So if you have ways to reduce the cost or play Verdeloth for free, take that to your advantage, because it'll help a long way. Text is a little smaller on the screen here. That's my bad. Verdeloth won't give himself +1/+1 unless he somehow becomes a Sappling, which is very cool. It does specify Saplings and other tree folk you control. Card to synergize with this commander, there are many options, but Tendershoot Dryad is probably one of the best. You're going to ascend very easily by having 10 or more permanents with this commander and with this card. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green Sappling creature token. You're going to be doing that on everyone's turn, and then very soon you'll have 2 Anthem effects on your creatures. You'll have 2 Sappling Lords on the board, which is very cool. That'll turn all of your 1/1 Saplings into 4/4s very quickly, and it's very devastatingly powerful. I love it. The deck that I am putting this commander in, oddly enough, is Tree Folk Tribal, because I love Tree Folks. One of my best friends growing up has a Tree Folk Tribal deck in like 60 card formats, very casual, back when we played years ago. And so I've always had this love for Tree Folk, even though I was pummeled by that deck so much. I've always had this love for Tree Folk. So I'm building a Tree Folk Tribal deck, and it's going to have some token sub-themes to it to make more Tree Folks. But on top of that, I can make Saplings as well. So the Verdeloth is going to be good in that deck there. Second is just focusing on the Sappling theme. This is a popular deck idea on EDH Rec, and this is of course just doing Sappling Tribal, where you're doing all the Sappling Lords and you're going crazy building your Sappling army and going very wide with it. Very cool. Different than the Tree Folk deck, because the Tree Folk is more about going tall than wide, but There are some token strategies in the Tree Folk deck. This, however, is just purely token, go wide, and overwhelm your opponents with a giant army. And then lastly, a fun, janky build around is obviously we want to take advantage of that kicker cost. We want to take advantage of playing Verdeloth as many times as possible if needed. And so we need to reduce mana cost. There are plenty of mana reducers in Magic the Gathering. They might be a little pricey though, so be aware of that if you want to build this strategy. But there are plenty of mana reducers to play Verdeloth for cheap and then get extra value from that kicker. There are ways to take advantage of making all of those saplings with Champion of Lamholt so your opponents can't block your giant army. And then finally, if Verdeloth gets killed but we have a giant board of tokens, we can use Growing Rites of Lilmac, which will transform to Lilmac Cradle of the Sun, and it will give you tons of mana for the army of saplings you have so you can play Verdeloth again. So very, very fun, and really we're focusing on using that kicker cost as much as possible. And that is going to do it for Verdeloth the Ancient. I kind of went with a little bit of a Groot theme for the strengths and weaknesses because Verdeloth is cool. You can make a lot of saplings, you can buff your saplings and your tree folk, but it's very expensive to play and very, very slow to play. So unfortunately, not a lot of people built around it. On EDH Rec, I think the two decks were like a generic token build and sapling tribal. That was it. So if you add tree folk on top of that, because it is a tree folk, then it's, yeah, you can see why it's only F tier. No one builds around this card, which is sad. I think this is cool. I love seeing creature tribe cards in this game. I think tribal cards are very fun, or typal cards is now going to be the term. Very fun, very cool, and I think this is always, the F tier is always a good thing to look at when reviewing these commanders, because it gives us as players an opportunity to build around these cards, maybe find new strategies or new synergies to build around them. One of the fun things about the F tier cards is because they're not that popular to build around and there's not that many decks to build around them, they're usually on the cheaper end, so you could build like budget saplings or budget tree folk if you want to play budget commander. And that is a very, very fun way to play this game. A lot of my decks are actually budget builds for the most part, or they're like draft chaffed with cool commanders in them. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if there's anything I missed. This has been Verdeloth, and this has been the entire Invasion set. So next video is going to be the Invasion set review, where you're going to see all of these tiers come together. And instead of explaining every single card in the tier list video, I'm just going to show you all of these cards' individual rankings and how they compare with each other visually. As far as the set goes, kind of see the evolution of Magic the Gathering as far as how they've built their commanders and how players have used their commanders. So stay tuned for that. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified when that video comes out. Go check out some of my other videos. I got Kingdom Hearts, I just finished Dark Souls, Assassin's Creed has been great, and I am working on the video game and Magic the Gathering crossover videos that I've wanted to do for a while now. So those will be coming out very soon too. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!